We've just completed our first month of full-time RV life, completely off-grid out here in Quartzsite, Arizona.
And we've been working remotely out here in the desert in the winter, and we thought we were prepared for all the things that we needed, but we've been surprised.
On this episode, we're going to show you how it's gone, what we've learned, and what's ahead.
So because of this, the mirror fell down.
Hey roamers, I'm Jamie.
I'm Linda.
And this is Roaming with Rosie.
And this is Dexter.
And today we're coming at you from Quartzsite, Arizona. And we're in the middle of a windstorm.
A wind event.
Wind event, yeah.
And so you will see we are shaking in here. We've got slides pulled in, and we are dealing with it the best we can.
Right.
We've been off-grid in Quartzsite, Arizona for over a month now after selling our house and moving into this RV we call Rosie, and she's a 2006 Alfa motorhome.
And we've invested a chunk of money into getting ready to be able to do that. And the reason we did that is so we wouldn't be dependent on having to stay in the RV parks.
Right. We don't want to stay in them all the time. There's a link I'm going to put up here somewhere and down in the description to our last episode where we talk about how we got into all of this.
And when we're talking about staying out here, what we're doing is called boondocking. And if you're not used to RV lingo, basically boondocking means you're out somewhere where you're not hooked up to shore power, water, or sewer. So that's what we've been doing for the last 30 months. So we've been like self-sufficient.
When we got here last month, we didn't take the time to fill up all of our tanks, our propane, and our water. We were really more concerned about getting here before it was too late in the evening. It was supposed to be a 2-hour drive, and right off the bat, we had a 3-hour drive, and a cabinet fell off its hinges. Like, what? This isn't a good start. Okay guys, we've sold our house. We're on the road. First trip, first day, 4 miles out, and we already had our first mishap. Like, okay, we knew to expect the unexpected, but we didn't think it would happen this fast. And here's what happened. The cabinet door came off. Can you believe that? I don't even think I've ever opened that cabinet before today. There you go. Expect the unexpected.
And then, not to mention, when we got here, it was dark.
Yeah, not just dark. It was black outside. And it's beautiful out here with the pitch black. We're far from any cities. If we had already been in a campsite, that would have been great.
Right. Mark Guido from Grand Adventure was nice enough to meet us at the entrance. We pulled off over where the dump station was, and then Mark and I took off on his truck to find the best route to be able to get to where they were having the meetup. And basically, when you're out here, there's all these kind of trails going different directions, and some of them go through these little washes. So I wanted to find an area that was mostly flat, so I'd be able to get in here without not having any issues being able to get back to where the meetup was. So Mark was kind enough to come out and meet us and bring us back.
So the next morning we got up because we still hadn't paid. So we got up, we went over to the Welcome Center. This is called La Posa Welcome Center, and it's La Posa South Welcome
right.
Center, and it's part of the long-term visitor area, so people say LTVA. So we're in La Posa South, LTVA, and the Welcome Center. And so we went up there to pay for our first 14 days, which is $40 for 2 weeks, and the fees go up to $180 for the entire 7-month period. For the summer, it's cheaper. It sounds like a lot, but that's less than $1 a day.
What that gives you, that means you can camp anywhere within the boundaries of the LTV area, but it also includes dump stations. So if you have an RV and you need to go dump, you can set up and camp, and however long you can last until you need to drain your tanks, you can go over and go to the dump station. The other thing that they have is they also have a Blue Boy dump. So what a Blue Boy is, it's basically a plastic container that you use in the same manner as if you were to dump into the sewer. You hook your hose up to it, you drain your tank into that, then you take the Blue Boy over to the Blue Boy dump area, you drain that, and then you'd be able to not have to move your RV every time you wanted to dump. And there's a lot of people doing that.
Right. And then there's drive-up trash dumpsters and freshwater fill-up stations in here, as well as pit toilets and emergency phones.
Right, because there's a lot of people out here who are just tent camping, or they're camping in their van or their vehicle. So that kind of gives them an area, if they don't have toilets or whatever, then they would have to use the pit toilets. And if for some reason there was an emergency, you'd be able to use the phones as well. On day 3, we decided we wanted to dump our tanks, get propane, and also fill up on fresh water. The one thing though is in La Posa South handles all the dump station for the entire area. And there's only 2 dump stations, so you have a line, basically.
So it can take more than a half a day in January at the busiest time to do that.
When we were driving out of here, we saw there was like 15, 20 RVs waiting to go dump. And it takes a little while to dump, so.
And fill up with water.
Correct.
Because of all that, we opted to go over to one of the RV parks in town that lets you come over for $20 and fill up your water and dump your RV tank in that order, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, usually you dump your tank and then you put in water, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then we went from there to the RV pit stop where we filled up on propane, which was about $2.95 a gallon. And we used propane for heating our water, running our heater, and then also cooking.
The last 2 weeks of January are the busiest out here, and that's because of the big RV show, which we were excited to go to again. We learned about all kinds of new equipment. We learned about cool places to travel to, and we learned about some emergency preparedness options for RVers, as well as all kinds of new ways to camp, including RV lot ownership.
And then the other thing, we added a few new memberships.
Yeah.
And we also saw that there were some other new work camping options, and then how that the employers actually, they're paying higher wages than they were last year. So yeah, that was pretty good.
There was more companies that came because they're that desperate for workers, so they're traveling farther to come down and hopefully get you interested. And we did. We were pretty interested in a lot of the work camping options that were available.
In the upcoming weeks, we're going to share the details about all of this, so make sure and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you'll be notified each time we upload a new video, and also updates.
Right. So how did we do with our first 30 days of dry camping? I think we did pretty good. We're routinely making it 8 days before we dump the tanks and fill up with fresh water.
And yeah, we probably could have went a couple more days, but being that the services are here, why take the chance and stress out about it?
After the RV show, things mellow out really quick around here. So now when you go by the dump stations, there's at most 2 RVs waiting for their turn. So once a week seems like a good target for us.
That's still being conservative with our fresh water use, a 100-gallon fresh water tank. So that means you're taking Navy showers.
So a Navy shower is when you turn the water on, get wet, turn it off, lather up, turn it on, rinse off, turn it off.
And repeat if necessary.
Right. Since it's been fairly warm out here in the afternoons, it hasn't been too bad. You don't have to like create a steam room or anything. But last year it was super cold and a lot of people went over to the truck stop to take showers.
To make our water and our tanks last the 8 days, even with taking the Navy showers, we couldn't take a shower every single day.
Nope. Of course, there's many other options other than taking your RV over to dump and fill. Jamie talked about the Blue Boys, which are the little carts that you dump your stuff into and pull it over to the station.
Yeah, and then also they have options for getting fresh water. You can use a bladder, or you can, I've seen guys driving around with big barrels. So basically what they do, they go over to the fresh water, they pump water into the bladder or the barrel, and then they bring that back to the RV, and then they use a pump to pump the fresh water back into the RV, so they're not having to move the RV back and forth. So If you wanted to, you could theoretically stay out here. If you have a Blue Boy and you have a bladder, you wouldn't have to move your RV at all.
Right. We don't have any of those. So
No.
we're routinely aiming for every 8 days to bring Rosie over. And our propane tank's still fine. We haven't filled that up the whole time.
No. Now let's talk about power. Any of you who have been following us, you know that we've recently upgraded our battery bank to 6 of the Lion Energy lithium batteries. And to be able to charge those, we've also added 1,200 watts of solar.
Yeah.
So that'll charge up those batteries. And then in turn, we also have the Victron inverters that basically take the battery power and inverts it so you can use it as 110 power.
Yeah, that was a pretty big investment.
Yes,
So,
it was.
has it lived up to our expectations? Yes and no.
We're dealing with winter sunlight right now, so basically what that means is we're only getting to utilize the sun roughly between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. to charge up those batteries.
We've had several wind events like we're having right now. Gonna be okay? Come over here. Come here. What was that? You don't like those big shaking noises. And each time we've gone up on the roof, well, he's gone up on the roof,
Yeah.
to lower the panels flat each time just so that nothing breaks. And we've discovered it really isn't mattering a whole lot to have the panels propped up or just flat.
Right, and the other thing that we discovered is our residential refrigerator is a huge consumer of power. So the first week we were here, we basically shut it off in the evenings, and then we would come back and check what our power status was. We were about 60%.
Right, in the morning we would let it go all night turned off.
We also have a computer and a 48-inch TV that consume a lot of power, and that's just one to think about if you even have a larger TV, how much power that's going to use.
On the days where we've not used them very much, like less than an hour each, then we've looked to see where our charge was, and by 4 p.m. when the sun starts to go down in the sky, we would finally get to 100%.
Right.
That's only if we used them less than an hour each.
Right, but on most days we're using them roughly about 3 hours. So that's 3 hours of usage for the computer and also the TV as well.
Once the sun's down and we're using electricity and we're not gaining more power, then our batteries are down to about 40% by 10 o'clock at night.
The cost of replacing the desktop PC, the TV, and also the older refrigerator for more efficient models would probably run into the thousands of dollars.
Right, and even all that we've invested in alternative power, because of these appliances, we're still having to run the generator for about 2 hours every evening.
And we have a 7,500 kilowatt diesel generator to charge up the batteries. Now, if you had a smaller generator, it would probably take a little bit longer, and you have to also consider the cost of fuel in that as well.
And we have those Lion Energy lithium batteries, which we're really happy with, because on those, we can run them all the way down to zero charge technically. If you have a lead acid battery and you have it fully charged, you can only run it down to half full.
And that's why we're really satisfied with the lithium batteries and that purchase. They'll last us well over at least 10 years minimum. And that's why when we decided to go the lithium route, it just kind of worked out to be a really good solution. And then also, you know, just when we were calculating buying the AGM batteries, which we were initially going to get, the lithium just kind of made sense. It was the better investment.
Right, and so here we are. The only way to charge our batteries faster would be to have more solar panels. Plus, the panels are the least expensive thing to add on compared to all the other options we would do to solve that problem.
But after 30 days of boondocking, we kind of just said we're going to hold off right now. And not only on solar panels, but any other additions we're going to add right now.
Yeah, we're going to try to take more time and learn what we don't like about being off-grid and what we did like about it. We'll be staying in some RV parks along the way, and then we'll be able to have a better comparison before we start spending again.
Now, we're happy that we didn't add any more equipment to Rosie, because this month has really taught us a lot.
Right. There's really no end to equipping your RV. If you have unlimited funds, you can probably buy the solution to anything or upgrade things in your RV to add to your pleasure of using it. In the coming months, we'll be staying at RV parks and some RV resorts, and that'll be a whole nother budget issue.
Right, and we're also going to be using our Harvest Host and also Passport America memberships We'll have links down in the description below for more information about those memberships.
Yeah, what we need to determine now is what our preferred way to camp really is.
Yeah, and soon we're going to be leaving the big Q, saying goodbye to new friends and also friends that we reconnected with, and that's really the best reason why you come out to Quartzsite in the first place.
Yeah, especially for us, we've been 25 years in the desert, and Quartzsite is not Arizona. Over and over, people go, I don't like Arizona, and I'm like, this big pile of kitty litter, this is not representative of Arizona. Arizona's beautiful. Quartzsite is a nice place to gather and meet up with people for cheap.
Right. After a quick stop in Phoenix, we're going to be heading across the U.S.
Yeah, a little intimidating for sure. We've got an old RV, and we pretty much know the possibility of things breaking or not going the way we planned.
Right, and we feel pretty confident. I mean, you can never plan for everything, but we think we've got ourselves pretty well set up to be successful, and we understand that's just part of the RV lifestyle, whether you got a new rig or an old rig.
Yeah, and I'm going to save this recording where he just said that and play it back to him when something breaks.
Well, then you can record that part and put that in there, and they can see me having my tantrum.
Yes. Bleep, 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 bleep. On our next episode, we'll lay out what all that preparedness includes, as well as sharing our next leg of our journey.
And obviously, there's a lot to consider for those of you who are considering this lifestyle or have just started out. We hope our videos have helped you figure out a good way to approach this lifestyle.
Right. And to support us on our journey, all we ask is that you use our affiliate links that we have down below in the description.
And if you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button.
And ring that bell so you'll be notified each time we upload a new video or updates.
And make sure to leave a comment. That way you can be part of the conversation.
Until next time.
We'll see ya. It lets the Victron Multi-Plus inverters invert that into 110.
Keep going. That was good.